Okay, welcome everybody. I'm Jason Neufeld from Elder Needs Law, elderneedslaw.com, and I am thrilled today to be joined by Joy Klein. She's a family services counselor with Dignity Memorial, and we're going to talk about something that I think a lot of people find uncomfortable, and that is pre-planning for their own funeral or burial arrangements. And in my practice as an elder law attorney, this is something that we frequently have to address, especially with Medicaid planning, right? When we're protecting people's assets, we're saying to ourselves, okay, this is an expense that is going to be borne by somebody sooner or later, and we might as well get it taken care of now. But it's not just for Medicaid planning. You know, this is really something that needs to be discussed more out in the open with just general estate planning, right? Again, this is something that everyone of all ages needs to be thinking about. So Joy, I want to welcome you here. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Dignity Memorial, and we'll get into it.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thanks for having me. So I got involved with Dignity and with the pre-planning because I love people, I love helping, and this is just a great way to really, and I've been touched by a lot of death in my lifetime, friends, family, and my own father, prearranged, and it's the greatest gift you can give your family. So I am with Dignity. Dignity is the largest funeral and cemetery providers in the nation. We have 2,100 locations nationwide.
Wow.
We're in Hawaii, we're in Puerto Rico, and in Canada. So it's really wonderful how we can help everybody. And because of being so large, there's a lot of things that we offer that the independents cannot.
Right. That makes total sense. And, you know, in my mind, I think what a lot of people find intimidating about this process is there's so many things that go into it. The cost of whether it's preserving the body or kind of keeping the body, the cost of a service, the cost of burying, the cost or cremating, the paying for a rabbi or a priest, and just there's so many things that go into it. So in my mind, I believe that cremation is the least expensive of kind of what is available to folks. Can you talk a little bit about what goes into a cremation pre-planning, what typical costs look like?
Sure. So there are two main things, Jason, that when a person passes or prior to passing needs to ensure they have. One part is the funeral piece and the other is the cemetery piece. So when we talk funeral, we're talking everything having to do with the body, the taking into our care, the picking up, bringing it to the crematory, all of that. The urn or the casket is all involved in the funeral. So many people think, oh, funeral is my service. No, a service is a small piece of the funeral cost.
Okay.
Cemetery is everything having to do with the burial. Are we burying below ground, above ground? All different choices. If you are cremating, where do we put the remains? Do we put it at sea and sprinkle it at sea, which we can do? Do we put it in a niche for you? So let's start with cremation. Okay. Cremation, yes, tends to be a lot less. And again, we have packages. So it really is dependent on what the person wants. The big thing prearranging is that you're making your choices. You're not leaving it to somebody else to decide what you really want.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense because they're going through a lot. They're grieving and they're an emotional wreck probably. And in my mind, this makes so much sense because you're giving them one less thing to worry about. Let them focus on the process.
A huge gift.
Yeah.
It's a huge, huge gift to your loved one. So cremation can range anywhere, the funeral piece of it, which is picking up the body at the time of passing, the funeral director, all of that, can range anywhere from $2,500 to $8,400.
Okay. Very good. And so that's the difference in the quality of the urn, the different, got it. Okay.
Yes. If you know, what type of service do they want? a viewing? Do
Oh,
they
I
want
see.
the body there? Do they not want the body there? So this is why when we have the discussion beforehand, it's wonderful to decide what you truly want. You know, do you want the service? Do you not want your body being there? Do you want it going to be cremated first and then have your remains there? A lot of choices.
Very good.
And then of course the cemetery piece of cremation would be like, do you want it in a niche or do you want it sprinkled at sea? And then your family can also go on the boat to see the sprinkling if they want. And that's, we could discuss all that.
Okay. Okay. So sometimes you're really planning, for what happens after. Got it. So, I mean, it can be as little or as much planning as they want. You can really cover it from the time of death to where things are scattered, and you covering all of that in one plan.
Everything. Exactly. And again, Jason, it could be as least expensive as you want to as extravagant as you want.
Sure. So how about if you're not being cremated? Now let's talk about more the traditional, when we think of a burial arrangement.
Okay. So in a burial arrangement, again, you do have your choice of below ground or above ground. Below ground, is one cost, and maybe above ground might be a little bit less in a mausoleum.
Okay.
But on the average, we're looking at the funeral piece could be anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12,000.
Okay.
Or 7 to 10 to 12,000, and the cemetery with property and so forth, probably another 6,000. So in total, you're looking at, on the average for an individual is 15 to 20,000.
Got it. Okay.
In today's market, today's pricing.
Right, and I think that's one of the biggest components of why you want to pre-plan is because these things don't get cheaper as time goes on. Right?
Exactly.
Go ahead.
So the big thing that people really need to understand, you're locking in today's prices. The sooner you pre-arrange, the better you are. You're saving that money for your family.
Okay.
Inflation, the beauty of us, and there was another question that came up about insurance. So I'm going to share a screen with you.
Yeah, so what you're talking about now is the difference. Just there are different options. Some people, there are people out there who sell burial or final arrangement insurance policies, which is not what you do. That is an alternative. And so you're going to talk a little bit about kind of the difference between what you do and kind of pre-planning for or pre-buying an insurance policy that pays for these things.
Exactly.
Okay.
So right now, like this shows, we gave samples of the effects of what inflation has.
Right.
So in 1980, a funeral in the center one cost $2,779. 2013, it is $8,508. So that's a 206% increase.
Right.
So locking in today, when I said the price is now, okay, so hopefully you don't pass for 40 years, you've locked in and it's not going up at all.
Right, that's terrific.
When you're buying these death policies, you're only getting a certain percentage. So let's say you buy a $20,000 policy, but at your time of passing, it costs $30,000.
Right.
Where is the family coming up with that $10,000?
Right. Makes sense. I've also heard that, and I don't know, but I've heard that these insurance policies don't always pay out right away. So sometimes the family is still coming out of pocket, and maybe eventually they're reimbursed, but still that can be a burden, I would imagine.
Yes, so that's a huge effect on families, and they don't realize that. So life insurance policies, and everybody should really know this, that life insurance policies are for the living. It's to help your children continue in college if God forbid you pass, to help pay the mortgage on the house. It's not meant to pay for your funeral. Also, you can't get at that for 2 weeks. At a time of passing, when that person needs to be buried, everything must be paid in full, or no burial will happen.
Okay.
So there's something else I want to lead into with insurance. Well, we'll get to that.
Okay. Very good. All right. So I think you brought up something that I think is, I think on a lot of people's minds, which is they're buying this, they're pre-planning now, and they may not need it for 20, 30, 40 or more years. And so the fear is, well, what if you go out of business? What if I plan on living my life in Florida now, but then I want to move to California in 20 years because that's where my kids are. What happens in either of those scenarios?
Great question. Okay, so let's take the moving one. First of all, dignity, because we're so large, we offer what we call the dignity differences. And there's 10 different ones involved in it. One of them is what you're just touching on, is transferability. So if you bought property with me, Jason, and you're in Miami with your property, and 4 years from now you move to California, and you decide, well, I don't want to come back to Florida. I want to be buried in California. Great. You call us, you're alive and well, we transfer, you get 100% transferability to any of our locations.
Got it.
It's amazing. Funeral, that's cemetery.
Right.
Funeral, the same way.
Wow.
You can use any of ours. As long as you move 75 miles from your home, that transferability is available.
I see. So you move more than 75 miles, and now, now the country is your oyster in terms of you can choose wherever.
Exactly. So when you hear people say, well, I don't know where I'm going to be living and blah, 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 that's an excuse.
Right.
You could plan it now and take it wherever you want. And that's the beauty of dealing with dignity.
Right.
Now, on the other hand, the other thing is, if we go out of business, that's a great question.
I want to say, I know Dignity has been around for a long time, and you guys are probably the most respected company out there doing this. No one expects you to go out of business, but who knows what the future holds.
Exactly. So the cemetery piece, everybody should understand that is covered by the government. So God forbid, we went out, the government, every piece of property that is bought, we put a certain amount away to the government. So they have a ton of money to upkeep any of our properties.
Right.
So the government would come in and either give it to another company, which in the past, other companies have come in and we've taken them over. They have gone out.
Sure.
So that's a cemetery piece. Now on the funeral piece isn't covered by the government. So what we did is we actually partnered with American Memorial Life Assurance Life Insurance. So all of our funeral policies are actually held by them. So for many reasons, let's say your funeral is $10,000. You decide you want to pay it out in 5 years, no interest, which is amazing too.
Okay.
You pay it out in 5 years. But what happens if in 1 year you get hit by a bus? Well, your family has to come up with all that money. And in the past, it's been a problem because the families don't have the money. So we sell a insurance-based funeral.
Right.
So you're paying a few dollars per day and you're covered in total. So if you passed and got hit by that bus in 1 year, it is totally paid off by insurance.
Great.
That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, if we go out of business and you don't pass for 30 years,
Mhm.
the insurance company has all your money.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Terrific. That's great. Um, Joy, I'll tell you something. I've referred a number of clients to you. They have all been thrilled with your level of service and your ability to kind of break down what is a emotional and sometimes complicated issue into bite-sized pieces. And so it's a pleasure working with you. This has been we've gone. This video is getting on, and what I want to do is I want to pick up this conversation, and what we were talking about doing that I think would be kind of fun, maybe a little intimidating for me, is to go through a mock pre-planning of my funeral, and so people can get the Joy Klein experience and see what that process really looks like. And I think that would be kind of cool, and people would find it interesting. So Joy, I have your phone number that you put on the bottom of the screen there is 954-446-3668. I will put your website, I will put your email address in the show notes on the bottom of the YouTube video that people will be able to see. And if people want to talk to you, they don't have to go through me, they can call you directly. And Joy, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for providing great service to your clients. And it was lovely talking to you as always.
Thank you, Jason. A pleasure.